Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andreea Tamas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self.
Welcome, beautiful souls, to a new podcast episode from the new series of Decoding Conscious Relationships. And today we have an amazing guest, Leila Evans, and please help me welcome her because she is so freaking brave to come here today. We are going to have a live coaching session where we are going to unfold some things that are going on in her relationship. And before we go there, Leila, I would love for you to introduce yourself a little bit and also to just share what made you say yes to be here today.
Well, I felt very drawn to you and your coaching style, and I'm excited to kind of get a firsthand experience with that. A little bit about myself. I do all the things. I'm a life and business coach. I like to focus on personal development and getting out of your comfort zone, helping people feel more confident in their own skin. I'm the host of the Do Life podcast. And I'm a professional mermaid. The blue hair didn't give it away.
Yeah.
So I do all kinds of fun stuff. And I was just really excited about having a live coaching session. And I think I'm going through a lot of changes in my relationship. And I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about some of the things that I want to bring to the table today and just kind of see how we unpack it and how it unfolds. And like I said, I really think that other people can benefit from the conversation that we're probably going to have today.
Yeah, and I'm so excited for you and for everyone that is going to listen. And I also want to say that I'm so honored, because coaching for everyone, if you have been experiencing any sort of coaching, you'll know that it's a very sacred, safe space. So we were just connecting before we hit record here, and it's so important when you have this kind of conversations for the person, the soul, because for me it's a soul connection that we have right now to really feel held in this process, because it can be very, very vulnerable, and you can go in some places that sometimes you just don't really want to look at or you might not even be aware of. So let's see what is gonna come up today. This is not like a scripted session or anything. We are just going to let it flow, unfold, and let our higher selves come through, connect, and let's see what's gonna come up. So Leila, if you can share a little bit of background so I can understand better and the people out there that are listening about your relationship, like what challenges are you experiencing there?
So I have been with my partner for about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have grown children. They've grown and moved out of the house, 25, 22, and 17. And, the 17-year-old's busy and barely home. So we thought that, this time of our life, we're a little, empty nesters, we would reconnect. It's one thing when your children leave and you're empty nesters, the first thing you see everywhere is reconnect with your partner and reconnect with your partner. And we never really disconnected. We've always had, a very strong relationship. And I think with the kids being gone, it more or less opened up my eyes to the point where I'm like, I think I'm done playing housewife. We've never legally got married because I'm not a fan of the idea of marriage. I thought it meant more to me that we stayed together because we wanted to be with each other and not because we were contractually obligated to. So there's not $1 million in divorce if anything happens, and we stayed together as long as we did because we wanted to. And I just feel like our relationship's evolving now that we don't have the children. I want to run away, and
Tell me
she's
more about
ready.
that. Why is this feeling of running away? Where is it coming from? You want to run away from what?
That's a really good question. I think because we both had babies young. We were, 17 when we had our first child. And I think the idea was the kids were going to move out and then we're going to explore the world together and we're going to travel and do all these things. And as I still like the idea of having him with me, but I just feel like I want to change. Like I feel like I've evolved as a person because I've been a mother longer than I haven't been. And now my children are not in the house with me, so I'm not needed to fill that role as mother 24/7. And I had this whole identity crisis. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not, who am I? What do I do? And that's kind of where I got into, I started taking my coaching certifications and going on the path that I'm on now. And I think there's something that needs to evolve in the relationship, and I'm not exactly sure what. But when I think of running away, it's not like I'm running away from something, but it's more like I want to explore, and not other people, but just myself. Like I've always Yeah, like I've always been somebody's something. I'm this person's mom, I'm this person's partner. I've never just been me.
Yes, and that makes total sense. Like you've had three children, and as you have three children, and as you said, you've been more a mom than not. And I'm curious with this, wanting to explore more of who you are becoming now as your children left from home. If you have communicated that with your partner, and what was his response to that?
We have had a few conversations about it. He is obviously not thrilled with the idea of me leaving. And I think it's because he has this permanence in his brain. He thinks that, me leaving and exploring is the end all be all and that we won't come back together. And I
Okay.
think that I don't see that. Like, I don't know if some people don't believe in the whole twin flame thing, but he's my twin flame. And most of the time, those are supposed to show up, teach you a lesson, and disappear. Well, we've learned a lot of lessons together because we've been together 15 years. And I think that it's just time for the relationship to evolve. I don't think it needs to end. I just think it needs to change. I think because, again, he's the same way. He's never been himself. He's been something to somebody else his whole life. So to just figure out who he is and maybe reconnect after that as new, better versions of ourselves to show up for each other. But that's hard, and a lot of people don't want to do that. And I know I can't make him do that.
Yeah.
I know I feel like that's the best next steps for our relationship. And I don't know how to get him to understand that.
Yeah, so you feel that would actually, if I hear it correctly, that would actually be beneficial for both of you to maybe go apart a little bit to figure it out who you are when you are like not together, where you are not like just parenting, and who you are as your own individual people, and then see if you have things like matching and coming up. But that's your desire, not his, if I understand correctly.
Yes. His desire is everything stays the same. We enjoy each other's company because the kids are out of the house, so we can spend more time together. And that just feels very boring and stagnant. And I don't feel happy in that situation. Like when I think of that, I just feel trapped and held back.
Yes. And help me understand, for how long has this been going on?
For about 2 years now.
Okay, for 2 years. And I know you mentioned in the form that you filled up that you also have been doing therapy, like couples therapy.
Mhm.
Have you seen any improvements from that?
There was a little bit. I think the only good thing we got out of therapy is we realized that we have two separate realities.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could be in the same room and have the same conversation, and a lot of our arguments that we would have stemmed from us completely misunderstanding the situation and the things the other person would say.
Mm-hmm.
Having a third, non-biased third party say, so you said this and you heard this and you said this and you heard this and you're both right and you're both wrong. And it was like,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it did help strengthen our communication, because I understand that, like, sometimes something it'll be said and I'll be like, wait, how did you hear that? So now I know to take the time to actually ask that, where before I never would have thought that.
Mm-hmm.
So the therapy did help with that, but it didn't really help solve any problems
Yeah.
or anything deeper than that.
Yeah. So this has been going on for 2 years. And what would you say now is different, that you are like, now I'm really ready to like make a decision, to make a shift? Or do you see yourself continuing for another few years where you're like, I'm not happy. This is what I heard you saying. I'm not happy to continue the same. It's actually a boring life. I feel like I have evolved, and I would love for him to evolve as well, but you don't really see this happening, and we cannot force anyone to make any changes. So if he is continuing being exactly who he is, do you see yourself continuing staying in this relationship for the next few years?
No. It's a hard thing to say, because, like, he's my best friend.
Yeah.
He's been my best friend for almost 25 years. And I can't picture a world where he's not my best
Mm-hmm.
friend. And I think that's a big part of it is, when we talk about, we gave ourselves to the end of the year to kind of figure things out. And right now, I think I've made a decision of what I want to do, but he's scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's because he's scared. There's this traditional, when people split up or they separate, a lot of times bad things happen. People we're on a break and then go sleep with like 42 other people or just
Mm-hmm.
do other things, when my thought process is, if we split or separate, that it's not supposed to be permanent, that it's just so we can heal ourselves, but that's hard. So instead of doing the hard things, maybe he's tempted to latch on to somebody else or do something else. And I think that's more or less like what his fear is that one of us is going to do something unforgivable and then we're never back together again. And I think he's got the thought that we're never going to be together is
Yeah.
what is terrifying him.
Yeah. So I hear like focusing on, okay, it's not permanent, and still attaching to, we would just like take a break, we would be good, a good girl and a good boy, where we are not gonna go and fuck around. We are just gonna go and identify ourselves, like who we are being in this new stage. And this is just my interpretation of what I heard you saying. You can tell me if it's correct or not. But still
So far, so good.
attaching to this, it's not permanent. It's not permanent, because I heard you saying that he's your best friend and you cannot imagine a world without him. But does it have to be a world where you are together romantically? For
In
you,
my
no.
eyes, no. In his eyes, yes.
And is your responsibility on how he perceives things.
No.
So what would be your responsibility, Layla, in a way where, if you are happy, eventually he's going to be happy. If he is happy, you are going to be happy, even though at the beginning it's like a clinch and hard.
Mhm.
But where does your responsibility lies?
With me and my decisions and what I'm doing, which is where I'm going. You know, I've decided what I want to do. I just I feel bad because I know he would keep things the way they are forever, indefinitely.
And why
And
do you
then if
feel
they,
bad about that if he keeps things forever as he is right now?
I mean, if he stays who he is right now, that's fine. I
Is
don't
it?
feel
Is it fine?
for him. It's fine for him
So then why would you feel bad for him?
because I'm the one making the decision to make the changes.
Okay, and then going back to why then you would feel bad for him. What does that mean? If you are the one that makes the decision to make changes, what does that mean?
It means that he's sad about them.
That he's sad about your decisions.
My decision to leave or change. Because two things, you know, well, I mean, multiple things could happen. But in his mind, either he's going to have to put in a lot of really hard work to change and grow and evolve who he is as a human to make things work,
Mm-hmm.
or he's going to take the easy way out and just find somebody else.
Mm,
And in both scenarios in his mind are scary and hard.
yeah.
And he doesn't want anything to do with those. So when I think of where he is mentally, it makes me feel bad for
Yeah.
making a decision like this.
And that's his human self that doesn't want those changes. But because we are so much also in spirituality and in evolving, yes, we came here to
Mhm.
learn and to evolve as a soul. What do you think his soul desires?
Well, I come back to the twin flame. I'm obviously the runner and he's the chaser, and we are meant to teach each other lessons. And I learn more lessons being in the relationship as the runner, and he learns more life lessons in the separation. And I went to live in Europe for the summer. I met you. And in the 5 weeks that I was gone, he evolved so much as a human because neither of us were really sure that I was going to come back home at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the decision to come home and have the conversation with him that, you know, I don't want to leave on terms of what if. I want to kind of leave with a game plan, something to for us both to work on and think about. And he grew and changed so much because he thought that he already lost me. So in thinking I was already gone, he started doing all the things, and I saw this just amazing trajectory of somebody actually put me in my place when I was in Europe, because I was like, I'm worried if I leave him, then he's just going to downward spiral and he's going to drink himself to death, or, you know, he's just going to become reclusive. And she was like, what if you're keeping him from being the most amazing person on the planet? What if his complacency with you is holding him back? And I was just like, ego, hi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a very eye-opening, and it was like, you know what? It's not my say to determine what kind of person he can or would be. And then when I saw what he did when I was gone, it was like, maybe she's right. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I am holding him back, and the complacency of being with me is making life too easy for him. I mean, that sounds so mean to say, but like
And
I
that's
would love to see
huge.
him continue the growth that he was on.
That's
So,
huge to realize. And one thing I've learned in relationships is because I used to have such a hard time breaking up, like with my boyfriends, and that came 100% from people pleasing, and then for not wanting to upset them, to break their heart. So I would put them first, then my own happiness. And then I would stay in relationships and I would be
mm,
so freaking unhappy. I would be frustrated. I would be, I would be like a bitch. So I wouldn't actually show up as my best self in the relationship because I was actually frustrated. And then what I got to really understand after I was in 2 7-year relationships is that, okay, if I'm staying and I'm not happy, I'm actually not doing a disservice only to me, but I'm doing a disservice to him as well, because he also has the right to be with someone who fully loves him, who fully accepts him. There is out there a person who's gonna accept him and love him exactly as he is. Because I don't know about you, but for me it was always like, I'm together with the projection. Like, if he changes that, if he does that, then our relationship is gonna be perfect, you know? But as long as he stays the same, it's not gonna work out. So I would always like be in that constant of like, he needs to change in order for this to work, which brings a lot of like fight and resistance to the relationship. And it's not fair, neither for them or for you, because there is somewhere out there who's gonna be so freaking excited to also go on this journey and grow with you, who's gonna enjoy being in this world, because this world is not for everyone, as we know, and we cannot force anyone to come and join us. They have to feel the pull and the excitement. And the same, I'm pretty sure there are some women out there who loves his lifestyle, who loves exactly as he is right now, without him having to change a thing. So do you see how we actually rob each other out of like happiness when we stay in a relationship, when we are not content and we just stay with the projection, with it's gonna be good, or hoping that he's going to change?
Yeah, when I was in Europe, I said some things that I think really started the catalyst of his growth journey and process. Is I told him that I wasn't in love with him, that I was in love with his potential.
Yes.
And I know that he said that stuck him. That one hurt him. And I told him that I love and accept him for who he is as a person, but not my person. And you know, and I feel like he's in love with an older version of me. I don't feel like he truly knows who I am right now. I think he's in love with the idea of who I used to be, and I'm in love with the idea of who he could be. So neither one of us really love each other for who we are romantically.
Yes.
Like, I think as people, as persons, as best friends, there's that connection will be there. But I just think romantically, we're not on the same level anymore. And I think I'm ready to let go and let our relationship evolve. That doesn't mean that, he grows and decides like, hey, I want to be on this journey with you and I want to be my potential. He might, and it might work out in the end and it might not. And I'm okay. And I've accepted that fact that whatever the relationship evolves to, I will be okay. I toyed with the idea of staying in an unhappy situation, even with the revelation that, there's somebody out there that might love him as he is right now. And I'm holding that back from him because I was worried. I had this lack mindset that, I'll never find somebody else like him. He's going to be the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's really good to me. Nobody's going to take care of me like he does. And then part of me was like, I don't need that. I'm not attached to the idea of having to have somebody. I want to go buy a caravan and just travel the world in my van like a little hippie, like a little gypsy lady.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Right? And I'm so fine with that. And, I know it'll be lonely at times, but I'm lonely now at times. So
Yeah.
I'm ready, if he moves on and finds somebody, that's something that I know that's a risk I'm taking.
So recently, for example, I had a situation here where I was doing my breath work training and my partner came to visit me during the training. And then we had like a trigger going on, and then he went into his process. I went into my process, and then I did the breath work session. And what came up for me in that breathwork session, it was like, I don't have the space or capacity for him right now. And I have to communicate that to him. I have to communicate my needs. So right after that breathwork session, I went and I had a conversation with him, and I told him that I cannot have you here right now. I cannot deal with your process and my process. Like, this is the time to focus on myself, and I will ask you like to leave. Like, and I asked him to leave earlier than he normally anticipated, you know. In the beginning, he had this reaction of like, oh my God, you know, like defensiveness, and you're like kicking me out, you know. But a few minutes after, because we are both into the same world, he was, you know, you are actually inspiring me right now, because I had times when I wanted to just focus on myself and do my things, but I chose to come and be with you or do those things. And then I felt frustrated. And he's like, right now, you are showing me what it means to actually love yourself and to choose yourself. And that inspires me, because you show me how I can love myself even more.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and the reason I'm sharing this, and the story came through, Layla, for you, it's because by choosing yourself right now, because that's what it means. It means loving yourself and showing him how that looks like to love yourself.
Yeah, I don't think he does that. He's very codependent and very attached.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he focuses all of his efforts on making everybody around him happy and doesn't take into consideration what makes him happy. And we've had this
Mm-hmm.
conversation, because I know that's not a healthy habit. Like, it's admirable that you want to make everyone around you happy, but you also can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, for him to take on the responsibility of my happiness is not fair for him or anybody to do, because it's not his responsibility to make me or anybody other than himself happy. And then I almost feel selfish for wanting to be happy
But do
and
you see
not
how
taking his happiness into consideration.
you put his happiness on you? How you take on
Hmm.
that responsibility? Exactly what you were telling him not to do. You do it yourself with him. So
Yeah.
what being selfish? What being selfish means?
Doing whatever you want to do without any kind of regard to how it affects anybody else around you.
Without any regards of how it affects any other people around you. And would you say, is that a bad thing?
I think it is a bad thing to be selfish, because if you're not thinking about how it affects anybody else, that is selfish. But I don't feel like I resonate with that word, because I do take into consideration how everyone around me is affected. So I don't feel like I'm being selfish when I'm making decisions that ultimately are for the better for everybody involved.
So is it really true, that definition, that being selfish, because it does have a negative connotation? And I've been told throughout my life a couple of times that I am selfish, you know, for choosing myself. And I've learned that that's one of the best gifts I can give to myself and to others, because when it comes from a place of love, like, okay, I'm choosing myself, I'm selfish for choosing myself, for having boundaries, for, you know, for not saying yes to what I don't want to say yes to. It's actually one of the best gifts you can give to yourself and to others, because you just truly show on how it is to love yourself, and you show them you can love yourself too. It's okay. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to love yourself more than you love me, because we are the most important person in our lives. How does that resonate?
It feels lighter. The decision to make things different and to change things feels like such a heavy burden. But to know that it's for the greater good. It's for the best for everybody involved. I don't know if you follow like Reagan and Wampa,
Mm-hmm.
Reagan Hillier and Wampa. Their relationship is evolving and they're opening up. And I was listening to like Wampa was talking to all of us, and he was saying something about how he had to get out of his brain of how a normal relationship works. It's always there's this guy and this girl, and that's what it is for happily ever after. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it can be multiple things. And to close off the idea of what is and what should be based on just societal norms is not beneficial, because you're missing out on all these amazing things that could be. We could be an amazing partnership together as different people. Like I said, if we come back together as newly grown people with our own set of boundaries and our own understanding of who we are and our real true identities, as opposed to being who we think everybody around us wants us to be or needed us to be or expects us to be. We can truly be us and ourselves individually and show up for each other on a different level than we could if we keep things the same. And change is hard for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard for me because I've always been, just kind of like, again, in our entire relationship, I've been the runner. Like, I'm ready to just go. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm done with you. Let me just go over here for a while. And he's put so much effort into keeping me and keeping the relationship that I feel like at this point, me running is still the very selfish thing because of all the effort that he's put in. But again, it's not in alignment anymore.
And you said that change is hard. What would be a different way to look at change?
I want to think that change is exciting.
Change is exciting. And tell me why. Why is change exciting?
So I was afraid of change because there's the what ifs. Like right now, I know I have a loving partner who would do anything for me. Um, and then the idea of not ever having that is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think about what if I have a loving partner who's in total alignment with me, how peaceful and harmonious that would be. And if it's him, great. If it's not, oh well. So getting over the fear of what I think I'm losing and embracing the excitement of what I could actually have. It's so easy to say out loud, but it's so hard to do in real life.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because our mind, first and foremost, goes into what am I losing? Like automatically. And it's we have this push, and we want to get to the pull. Like we want to be pulled towards something else, something different, something that is in alignment with who we are becoming, instead of like push away from this relationship. No. So how would be actually easier for you to act on this belief in your day-to-day life that change is exciting, instead of having this, because it feels more like a borrowed belief that change is hard, and maybe it can even be your partner's belief that change is hard because you see that there is so much resistance towards change from him. So would you say change is exciting? Is it something that it's part of your identity now?
I feel like the word exciting resonates with me more so than scary or hard.
Mm-hmm.
Change has never really been hard for me,
Mm.
but it's hard for everybody around me. So I've definitely adopted that phrase because I
Yeah.
think change is exciting. I love to embrace the newness. Like, I want to go explore as much new and change as much and often as frequently as possible. I just feel like part of me I feel like I'm going crazy. Because on one hand, I'm like, I have this perfect relationship with this man who worships the ground I walk on.
Mm.
Why do I want to walk away from that? And then there's a part of me that's just like, there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
And I feel stagnant and stuck and complacent here. And I know that's not where I belong.
Yeah, because it sounds like, when your soul speaks to you, like no matter how perfect things might look on the outside, when your soul it's like nagging and it's telling you like it's time to go, it's time for a change. It's like no matter what's going to happen right now in your current reality, nothing is going to satisfy you, because you are meant
Mhm.
for something else to grow and evolve. Do you feel that?
I do. I do. Like, this has been going on in my head for 2 years and I can't shake it. It's not
Yeah.
going away. It's not changing.
So
Nothing
let's
else
see.
seems to resonate.
Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to commit to yourself? Are you ready to make a decision? Are you ready to put the stick in the ground and be like, I'm not going to continue any longer with this like wobbly indecision, but maybe he's going to change, but maybe when your soul very clearly it tells you, hello, wake up. And what I believe, if we don't move, because your soul is telling you it's time to move, and if you don't move, the universe is going to come and slap you like quite badly. To have like this wake up call and be like, it's really time to make a change. So you know about it. You heard in the Mind Valley, that they say it's we grow to cancel or shatori, like through pain or the pleasure and the desire. So do you want to wait for another, like for a big slap or something in order for you to like move your ass?
No, I think I'm ready.
What makes you ready now?
Because I don't want to, again, I feel stuck. I feel held back. And it feels wasteful. Time is the most valuable asset we have, and I am a big proponent of like not wasting time. My schedule is packed. Like I know exactly what I need to do, when I'm supposed to do it. I have everything, like my color coordinated calendar is impressive because I want to effectively use my time. And when I schedule time for like happiness and like just relaxing but it's scheduled
Mm-hmm.
because I want to make sure like I'm not I found it I couldn't relax if I didn't have a plan in place, because then my brain's like I need to do this and this and this. So if I schedule like relax time, I'm like I can actually relax now. So I feel like I've already wasted too much time like telling the universe to give me a sign, give me another sign, give me another sign. How about now? What about now? That wasn't signy enough.
Strong enough. Can you just like put it written down somewhere that just freaking do it?
And I just there's just too much. And I'm like, you know what? I'm wasting my own time. I'm wasting his time. I'm wasting everybody's time.
Okay. And that's a way to look at it. Yes, where you are like, I've been wasting time. Where if you perceive your past like that, it's also looking at it with some resentment and of like, oh my God, I've wasted time for not making the decision. My invitation to you is, can you see the perfection in how it was, how it has been? See the perfection. It was just not the time yet. Just see the perfection, because when you bring that perspective that it was perfect and it couldn't have been any other way, you have grown and you are exactly where you have to be right now. And from that place of like, it has been perfect. Even if my whole body, soul, and so on wanted to leave earlier, it was just not the time. But bring that and the acceptance for how it was, some love and compassion, and maybe even forgiveness towards yourself. You're the queen of forgiveness. You know what it means and how it feels. So don't judge yourself for having this idea right now that I wasted time. And just look at it like, can you see in these 2 years, who have you become right now in this very moment? Can you see like the difference, how different you are right now compared with how you used to be 2 years ago? Can you see how these 2 years prepared you perfectly for you to embark now, maybe on your own, to go on your self-discovery journey?
I think the 2 years more so prepared him, because he would have just been devastated if I was like, hey, I'm not happy, I'm leaving. Whereas we've had, therapy, we've had multiple conversations, we've had a brief separation. And I think all of these things were helpful to get him to where he needed to be. And to let me know that I tried. I did what I needed to do. Like, is it time? Is this really the right idea? So now I know that when I walk away, that I've exhausted all my other options and I know that this is the right decision. So
Okay.
I
You are saying how it helped him more than you. And I'm curious how it helped you. Like these 2
it
years,
did
what
help
has
me.
happened? What has happened with you?
I realized that I need to put me first. My whole life, for as long as I can remember, I've always been about helping other people. Like you said, people pleasing. And I've never really considered myself a people pleaser, but I was a mom. I'm still everybody's mom. My 26-year-old sent me a message the other day and asked me if I could help a friend of hers who doesn't have parents and was like, "Can you be her mommy? She has some grown-up financial questions." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So now I have a new daughter.
Congratulations.
All my friends' kids would always come stay with me. I had one girl lived with me for 4 years. She didn't have a great parenthood. And
Okay.
so, like, I always had strays. I called them my strays, that I had stray children. And so I was always just there to help everybody else. So it
Mm,
feels so alien to me to go out of my way to help
mm,
me. Like, that is not a thing that my brain's like, wait, we can do this? Are you sure? I
mm.
don't know. It doesn't feel right because it's new and it's
Yeah.
not something that I've ever done before. So it's like, can we actually do this? Can we do things for ourselves and be happy? Are we sure? It's weird.
And whose permission do you need?
Nobody's. Mine?
That's right. You need your permission. Is it okay to give yourself that permission? To choose yourself, to prioritize yourself, to take care of yourself, for you to be the first number one priority in your life?
I feel resistance in that because my brain is like, my children will always be my first priority, but they're not as relevant. I don't want to say my kids aren't relevant. That sounds awful. They're not as prominent.
Yes,
Prominent's the word I want to.
prominent.
They're not as prominent in my everyday life because they're grown up and they have their own lives. They have their own relationships and homes and things. So I'm not needed for that role. They'll always be top priority. Like I feel like I'll always put their
You'll
needs
always
before my
be a
own.
mama, of course. I mean,
Right.
it's
But
not
even
like,
like the airplanes tell you to put your own mask on before you put their mask on.
yeah.
So
So tell me what else comes up when you hear that. To put yourself first, to prioritize yourself first.
that they need to see that. They need to see me do that. I need them to see me do that because I need them to do that.
Okay, so they need to see you do that because in that way they will do that as well. And
Yeah.
is it okay if we're gonna shift a little bit the language here?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you say they need, it kind of like is this like needy energy, Do they really need to see you do that? Or it would be amazing, or I desire, like for you to use I desire for them to see me doing that. And maybe I will lead as an example, but don't make it that I will do it so that I will put myself first so that they can do it as well. Because is that in your control?
No.
But what is it in your control here?
What if I use the words like they deserve to see me happy and put myself first? They deserve to see their mother in a strong position
Yeah, but
that,
why again you make it about them? So even here, can you see how you have a hard time even in this context to make it about you? Like give yourself permission to make it about you. It's okay. It's allowed. It's welcomed. It's invited. So how you would say it right now if you make it about yourself?
that it's okay.
It's okay. Why?
It's okay for me to put myself first.
Can you say that a couple more times?
That it's okay to put myself first. It's okay to put myself first. Why was that so hard?
Yeah, I feel it in my whole body. Can you feel that?
Yeah, there's so much resistance there.
Mm,
I don't think I ever have.
yeah, so no wonder it's been challenging for you to make this decision,
That makes a lot more sense.
because you don't really know how the Layla that puts herself first looks like, acts like, thinks like, feels like. So you haven't really met her. And now you are in the process, in the journey of meeting her. And I feel like maybe in this conversation right now, in this very moment, you had one of your first encounters.
I feel like that's very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my thought was, to discover me and myself more, and maybe it's learning who I am as a priority. Wow. Not even that felt weird to say.
Yeah. So now really taking this insight, yes, that you received right now, this awareness, and then asking yourself in your day-to-day life, okay, how do I take this inside and then apply it, how this looks like practical in my day-to-day life, in your future, in 2025, because we are so close to 2025. So what would be some practical ways?
Well, the conversation that we just had about making decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and I think making those conscious decisions with that in mind of who am I doing this for?
Mm. So asking yourself before you make a decision, who am I doing this for?
hmm Yeah, I think being able to break it down and have that thought process, like who am I doing this for,
Mm.
will help guide me in the right decision.
Yeah, amazing. And how do you feel around your partner right now, and what is going to be moving forward?
I think we're gonna have another conversation about what our next steps are and what
Okay.
this looks like for us, kind of how we're going to move from here.
Okay. And what do you feel that now is going to be different in this conversation compared with the conversations you've had in the past?
That I'm not going to feel responsible for his reactions and emotions and unwillingness to change,
Okay.
and that I'll be able to stand firm in my decisions because I'm putting myself first and not his emotions.
And what do you feel that you are able right now during this conversation to reach to a decision?
Mhm.
Would you like to share that decision with us? So you also speak it out loud. So you also make that commitment towards your decision.
So I do want to get a van and travel, and I
Um,
think I'm gonna sell the house and split the money, and he can take it and do whatever he wants with his, and I'm gonna move on and travel.
Amazing. And by when do you see that happening?
I'm gonna call the realtor tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow, call the realtor. Amazing. And what else? What are the other steps?
I'm going to have a conversation with him tonight about our conversation today.
Mhm.
I will segue our grown up conversation, then let him know, kind of what the conversation was that we had today, and let him know what my decision is. Like, we gave each other till the end of the year to kind of figure things out. And I think that's just drawing things out unnecessarily. So I think
Okay.
it's time.
Amazing. And by when do you see yourself thinking that you are a master manifester? Yes. That you're gonna talk to the realtor, the house is gonna get sold like ASAP. By when do you see yourself like, I'm gonna like have the van and like start traveling?
So this sounds really soon, but I had a dream a year or so ago that said I had 84 weeks to put away the house, and I have no idea what that means. And I wrote it in the calendar, and December 30th was the day when I did the calculations of what 84 weeks from that day was. So December 30th was that day. So I feel like that's significant because I still have no idea what put away the house means, and it's been driving me crazy for almost 2 years. But I think I have a pretty good idea.
Amazing. So awesome. And I'm so excited and so happy for both of you, honestly, for both of you, for this new chapter, for what's coming. And are there any challenges that you might foresee coming now that you gonna have the conversation with him, you're gonna talk to the real estate agent? Are there any challenges that maybe you have experienced in the past when you have spoken with him, or now that you embark on this new journey?
No, not really. I mean, I could see him, hurt people. So once he realizes that it's real, I could see him getting angry, but not like aggressive or anything I have to worry about. But he's gonna go through all of the emotions, the 7 stages of grief, and
Mhm.
I know he's gonna go through those, and I'm not gonna let them affect me.
Okay, so reminding yourself that he's going to be hurt and maybe you are going to be as well, but truly not taking things personally on however he's going to react. Doors,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Is there any support you need on this process?
I have good friends that are aware of the situation. So, and they've been very supportive. They haven't given advice. They haven't been like, "Oh, you need to do this or this." They're just there to support whatever I decide. And I think those are the best friends to have right now. They're not trying to lead me in one direction or
Mhm.
the other. They're just like, whatever you do, we're here for you. And I appreciate that. So I'm really happy that I have them. Um, and then my kids are kind of aware of the situation, and they're fine with whatever. So
I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants you to be happy and him as well. And if one is not happy, the other one cannot be either.
yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing, for being so open, so vulnerable. And I would love to hear, what would you say it's like your biggest takeaway from today?
Was probably the hardest thing for me to say was it's okay to put myself first. That still seems so weird.
Yeah. So would you be open to do an exercise after this session? Would you be open to that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
So what comes up is for you to do this exercise where you say these kind of affirmations in the morning would be best, while you also look into the mirror, into your eyes, and you can even say your name. See which one has a bigger emotional impact for you, because you really want to feel it while you say it. And look into the mirror and say it, I would say, at least 10 times for the next 21 days, because we need at least 21 days to have a pattern change, to rewire our, what do you say? Are you up for this?
I think so. I heard something about like mirror manifestation not that long ago, so it's something I've been wanting to play with anyway, so that just makes sense.
Amazing. So it's a difference between I think so or yes, I'm doing this.
Yes.
So in which
Yes.
one you're choosing right now?
I'm choosing yes.
Yes. Amazing. Because we get better and better of making decisions with each and every interaction we have, and every possibility we have. And the better we get of saying yes or no in this like day to day, also small things, the better we get of saying yes or no also when it comes to bigger life-changing decisions, if it makes sense. Yes. And I think I might have lost you a little bit. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Mhm.
Yes.
You're breaking up a little bit. Are you still there?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, that I think we lost each other a little bit.
Yeah, we lost a little bit of connection.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well,
Amazing.
it
So
was
I'm super grateful, super happy for having you here, for saying yes to this, and I cannot wait to hear about the rest of what is going to unfold and your journey. And thank you for coming. Is there anything else you would like to share?
just thank you for having me on today. It's always so nice to talk to you, and this has been very eye-opening and informative and transformational. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this space with me, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will add your contacts in the show notes for those that want to connect with you and also see your beautiful magic and everything that you are doing out into the world and follow your van traveling. I will add her information in the show notes. Thank you to each and every one of you for listening, for joining. We would love to hear from you. What has been your biggest insights from this life coaching? And I love you. I appreciate you, and I believe in you. See you all soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.